Good to see you again. Here we are to continue our discussion of CSS. In the previous video, we talked about the box model, and we used the box model, we experimented with it, and then we used it to design some buttons. So hopefully your buttons are looking really good. Let's talk about some more CSS properties that work with the box model and layout. One of those properties, and you actually don't use this one that much, it's called float, okay? Just so you know though, in the old days, float was really important for layout because it was the tool for layout. But the reality is float was never meant to do layout, okay? So what is float, right? Float is a property that can be set to either left, I think it can be left, right, or none or something like that, right? But essentially when you float something, all the text wraps around that thing. Okay, so when when you're looking at a magazine or a page and there's a paragraph of text with a picture and the text wraps itself around the picture, right? The picture is floated. Okay, so let's do a quick experiment with this because it's kind of good to know a little bit about this. I'm going to go to my Zen Garden page here, and just as an experiment, what I'd like to do is I'd like to make each, we'll kind of have some fun here. I want to make the first letter in every one of these paragraphs larger, right? They call this a drop cap, right? And I don't have any pictures in here. If I had a picture, I could use that, but I'm going to use the first letter of every paragraph. But what I want is I want the rest of the paragraph to wrap around the letter, okay? So let's give it a try. So to select the first letter, I'm going to do P : first letter, okay? And this is a selector, this : first letter is a selector that gets the first character on a line, okay, or in, as like text content for a node, okay? So I'm going to do this, right? I'm going to say first letter, and then I'm going to set the, the font size to, let's do 2 rems, okay? And you can see for every paragraph, now the first character is, 2 rems, but it's just larger, right? So the Y is larger. Let's make it like 3 rems just for fun so we can really see it, right? So it's still a lot bigger, but the rest of the text is just doing what it normally does, right? It's not really wrapping around this. The bottom edge of this character is at the same baseline as the first line, right? So what I want is I want the paragraph to wrap around the letter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say float left, okay? And now you can see the text kind of starts wrapping around that letter. Okay, and we're going to really get it to look right, we're going to have to tinker with this. This one isn't just going to fall into place automatically, right? But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a little bit of padding, and I'm going to type in all 4 letters. You can do padding dash, you can say, padding left, top, bottom, right if you want. But if we just say padding and then we give it 4 numbers, this is the top, the second number is the right, the third number is the bottom, and the last number is the left, okay? So maybe I want to give a little bit of padding around this, and I want to do some padding on the left side or the top. Maybe I need to do a little more padding. Let's do like 15. Oh, there we go. That's not looking too bad, right? So you can see here that the text is wrapping around the letter because the letter is floated. Okay, so that's not too bad. Maybe I need a little padding on the right side also. So this is the top, second number is the right. Let's do 5 pixels there, right? Oh, and everybody moves over. So that's looking pretty good, right? Maybe it's not perfect for this page, but just for fun, this might be a good thing to experiment with, right? So that looks pretty good. You know what? It looks a little weird up here, especially like right there. Doesn't look good. This one, not good. These, not right. Maybe it could look good if I change the numbers, right? But down here, maybe this looks okay. So what I think I'm going to do here is I'm going to target only the paragraphs that are in this section. So let's take a quick look at our Zen Garden page, right? So if I look at the Zen Garden page, The intro block is the header with the H1 and H2, so that's this up here, followed by the summary, which is this paragraph and the paragraph here, followed by the preamble. And the preamble is this block right here that says Road to Enlightenment, right? And then it has these 3 paragraphs in it, right? It's got the H3 and the 3 paragraphs. So all of this from here to here is the preamble, right? After that comes this section that's called main and supporting. So this has 2 class names, so I could use either of these class names here, right? And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's get all the paragraphs that are inside of main. So I'm just going to say main descendant paragraph. Okay, so now I get these guys right here with the first letter, and then these don't get the first letter property, right? This really needs some line height. I'm going to let you fix that, okay? Let's try one more experiment before we do anything else here, right? So that's looking okay, but what if we did float right? Where'd the letters go, right? They're on this side. But notice the text still wraps around it. So float lets us float something to the left, everybody wraps around, or to the right and everybody wraps around. And if we wanted to, we could do some tricky selectors and we could say every other thing would float left or right. So if you had pictures on a page, that would be really nice because you'd have a picture on the left and then a picture on a right and then the picture on the left, right? So that's kind of a common thing. In this case, it really doesn't make any sense. These should always be on the left, right? Because it's the character that starts the paragraph, right? But anyway, so hopefully that explains float for you, right? So float is where we target an element and we make that element, make the rest of the text wrap around that element, right? Okay, so yeah, so I think that's looking pretty good there. And give it a try. Maybe you can find some areas here where you might want to float something. In a way, the heading could be a target for that, right? Because you could get the rest of the text to wrap around it, and that might be an interesting look. Be kind of maybe experimental there. You could get the I'm trying to think of what else would be good right here. Maybe down in here with these 2 links, you might float one of these links, right? In this page, it doesn't really apply in too many places. You could get everything to float around these guys, maybe too, that whole footer section, right? But anyway, there's kind of an idea for you, right? Just something to experiment with, okay? But that's float, okay? And again, thanks for watching, and I hope this makes your Zen Garden work more fun.